Dark, huh?
Yeah, so I'm recording now finally with all of the problems we had. So it looks like I was saying, that I can't seem to stream directly to Facebook from my Safari. So I'm going to have to reinstall Chrome on my computer. But we're going to record ourselves live here. So good to see you in your big dangly earrings and smiling. And it's so good to be here. So before we get started, what I want to do is I actually even need to pull something else up. I am a little unprepared, my love. So sorry. So I wanted to talk a little bit. I always give some kind of a business tip or a digital marketing tip before I get started. And that's exactly what I wanted to do right now. And what I wanted to talk about, and I know you're familiar with this, is something. I was at a bunch of networking meetings this week. And at each one, rooms full of women, and I would say to each one, the issue that came up was that they can't seem to stay on task, and they think they know what they're doing, but then they get distracted and they're not able to do it. And I was able to reflect on, I think it was probably a little over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I started working with a number of people on an accountability group. And what that is for me in this particular instance is there's 5 of us. There's 4 other people who we check in once a month with each other. We have a spreadsheet, and we talk about our wins, and we talk about our struggles, and then we make a real-time commitment to our long-term goal. So if we know what our long-term goal is and we share that with each other, then we can put it down, we give it a date, we give it a name, and we hold each other accountable. And I can't even tell you how that, well, I don't have to tell you, Kari, because this is where you live, but the idea of naming your goal, saying it out loud, and I believe you might have even been the one that taught me about SMART goals, right? To name it and to measure it and to be held accountable for it and do it on a timely basis. So that's been amazing. So through that, I wanted to give that gift to others as well. And so I've been able to create a couple of different models of mastermind groups or accountability groups. I call them rise above groups, right? It's rising above because we're separating ourselves for the 2 hours that we meet in a month. We're separating ourselves from the noise of the world and really just focusing on each other's goals and our own goals. And then we check in with each other throughout the week. And here's the other thing that's been so great about it, is that we amplify each other's message on different social media. So we interview each other, or we share each other's posts, or we recommend each other online. So powerful. So the 2 groups, I guess this is my little call to action, which is a big call to action, is that if that is something that somebody is struggling with, I just want to be held accountable. I just want somebody to tell me what to do and to help me get to those long-term goals. I have the 2 groups that are starting in the end of April, beginning of May, depending on when I get the right people for the groups. Yep. One has an amazing, in my opinion, learning component of everything you need to know about digital marketing. We start with mission statement and ideal client, and by the end of it, by the 10th week, the people who move through this program have a 6-month content calendar, all of their messaging. They know how to schedule their posts. They know how to save their time and their energy. And so that's been wonderful. And then for the people who have already got those systems in place, we have an accountability group. Show up. I give you accountability prompts. You have an accountability buddy. There's a private Facebook group. People kick your butt and get things done.
They do.
So with that little mini commercial,
I love it. I'll hop on that plug all day, because I was in your second group that you talked about, the accountability one.
Yes.
We're wrapping up now, and I can't even believe how fast it's gone, but it's been phenomenal to show up and be able to be really honest about exactly where each one of us are and exactly where each one of us wants to head and what we need to do for ourselves to get there, and what we need for support and accountability to be able to get there. And I love talking about these mastermind groups today because I think it goes right along with clarity and how can you achieve the things that you want to. So I think it's a perfect time to talk about these groups and
Awesome.
all the reasons why people should be in them.
So I'm going to do your formal oh my God, yeah, there we go. Introduction. Here's your formal introduction, Kari Yasi. Kari Yasi is a speaker, an intuitive strategist, so good, and a mindset advisor. And although she does so many things, today we're talking about that she specializes in empowering women to uncover stories that are holding them back and help them to shift back into their power. Kari's background is so wide. She's been in leadership, marketing, strategic planning, and she uses all of these skills and strengths alongside her energy work and subconscious reprogramming to help women create the most powerful experiences possible without stress and without overwhelm. And today's topic is indeed discover the stories that hold you back, rewrite your new reality. And with that, Kari, I'm so glad you're here. If people do end up in here and they write something in the chat, which I would love for them to let us know that you're here, we invite them to put questions in the chat and I'll let you know about it. But I'm going to just let you tell us what you do.
Yeah, this is, I always love spending time with you, and I always love talking, to women and to organizations about clarity because, quite frankly, I think that there's a lot of frustration and stress, right? When people are trying to reach their goals, whether it's a business goal or a health goal or relationship goal or whatever it is, there's a lot of overwhelm, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of stress that doesn't have to be there, but we think that it has to be there because that's what either we're used to or what other people have told us how it should be, right? It needs to be difficult or it needs to be challenging or it has to feel overwhelming or, some of the old cliches, right? If you have to work really hard to make something happen or you have to force it or you have to, suffer in some way. And I think that concept of suffering creates a lot of confusion and overwhelm in understanding where do I want to go? Why do I want to go there? How am I going to get there? And we're kind of here to break that all apart today. Blow it all up.
Let's do it. Let's do it. How do you do that?
So I think the first area that people go, oh, that's what we do, right? Like that first, is asking ourselves, what do we really want? What do we really want? And I stress that because it's not what does somebody else expect of us? What do we need to do? What should we do? But starting to get really honest with ourselves about what we want. Which everyone's like, yeah, of course, duh. Like I want success or I want more money or I want more clients. And it's like, I hear you. That's not wrong, right? Like, of course we do. The question is why? And what are we looking for from having those things? So I want more money. I want more clients. I want the bigger house. I want to lose weight. Whatever the want is, creating the awareness around, well, what are we really looking for? Why do we want that? What is the outcome that we are expecting or the perceived outcome of what we're saying we want? Because we might not actually want more clients. We might want to have more time freedom, or we might want to have more money in the bank, or we might not even really honestly want to lose weight, but we might want to have more energy, or we might want to feel more confident in our clothes. Yes. So it's understanding beneath what we think we want, what we're really looking for, what the expectation is on how our life looks and how we feel. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
And a lot of we just don't take the time to do that, or nobody's asking us that next question, right? Like, what are we really looking for? Most times for women, especially in business, and they're feeling burnt out and overwhelmed and stressed, and they're saying that they want more clients, or they're saying they want more this or that, they have this underlying desire to be successful, right? Like that's a big part of it is I want to be successful. But when was the last time, and Susan, you know, I've talked about this recently, when was the last time that you defined for yourself what the word success means?
Yes.
What is success, right? It's this elusive word that we all want, right? It's this elusive place that we all want to live in, but success can look so different for everybody. And if we're not taking the time to define for ourselves what success is, we really don't even know where we're going. We don't understand what we're moving towards. We don't understand why we're doing the things we're supposed to be doing. And we never get there because there's this imaginary place that we haven't identified.
Oh, that's brilliant. There is an imaginary place that we haven't even identified.
It'd be like hopping in the car and being like, I want to go to this place that everyone talks about. That sounds real good. And I know everyone else wants to get there too. And I'm going to get there. But I don't even really know where it is. So I'm getting in a car, but maybe I actually need a boat to get there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and so understanding what we even want is the first part of clarity.
Yes.
And the next part is that once we start to try to figure out what we want, right? People get really overwhelmed or frustrated. I mean, especially women. How many times have you heard a woman say, I just don't know. I don't even know what I want. I don't know what I want anymore. I've tried all the things. I do all the things. I'm not feeling the way I want to feel. I'm not getting the results I want to get. I don't even know. I don't even know what I want anymore.
Trying to do it all. Everybody's trying to do it all.
Do it all.
Yeah.
And that is the easiest and fastest way to move away from clarity, right? Is because we are creating a reality based on stories and experiences that validate a belief that isn't in alignment with us, which is a very, really deep woo-woo thing to say. So I'm going to break that down a little bit. Long story short, it's about simplifying. But we do these things, or we think we need to do all the things, and we don't understand where it's coming from. And this is why I talk about understanding the stories that are creating our reality and rewriting them. So if you've always been told that success requires hard work and you have to work 80 hours a day, a week, and you have to be everywhere all at the same time, or else, right? The elusive or else, we suddenly feel this outside pressure, these outside expectations, and these outside stories running our life.
True.
So when a woman says to me, well, I don't even know what I want, it's not that she doesn't know what she wants, is that she's listening like we all do, with no judgment, without shame, without guilt, right? We're all programming ourselves to believe the stories outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes really, really, really loud noise, and really, really, really basic busy work, and really, really, really overwhelming guilt and fear and shame, trying to keep up with all of these other stories instead of really asking ourselves. Does that make sense?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes, and that also ties into a lot of the conversations that I have with people around like not being good enough. Right, imposter syndrome, and not wanting to show up because I'm not as good as. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm guilty for that too.
Because there's a story there. The story is I have to look a certain way, or I have to present a certain way, or I have to have a certain amount of money in the bank, or I have to fill in the blank, right, in order to whatever, again, that definition of be successful, or validate my abilities, or a big one for women is our self-worth. And when we haven't tapped into our own eternal self-worth, and when we haven't observed the stories that we believe, because many women and men too, but I mean, it's different for women. I think when we talk a lot about and to and with and for women. So that's why I just keep bringing them up.
Yep.
The same is true for an organization as it is for an individual, right? It's not just for women, but we have believed this story that we don't even realize anymore, which is, oh, your self-worth is tied into your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Or your self-worth is tied into your relationship. Or your self-worth is tied into how your children behave. Or your self-worth is tied into the size clothes that you fit in. And that's not real. It's a story. So what if the story became, the stronger boundaries I have, the more I respect myself, the higher my self-worth goes up. What if the story was, the more I learned and spent time by myself, the more my worth goes up? Because your worth isn't about external, right? It's more about just you having value because you are. Just because you are. What if that was the story that we chose to believe, and that created our future, and that created our reality, as opposed to the other stories? But if you're not aware that there even is a story, or what that story is, it's really challenging to change it, and then you find yourself spinning your wheels over and over and over again.
That is amazing. That's so, I'm inspired and I'm listening. How do we put that into, how do we even think about, all right, so I'm going to hang up from this call, and what do I do, Kari?
Yeah.
What am I doing next?
I love the to-dos, right? Because I'm a very to-do. And I think the first to-do, right, is to stop.
Okay.
Just stop.
Okay.
That's it. Just breathe.
Okay.
And I will tell you why. And this is, again, going to go back to the simplifying in a second. If you just breathe and allow the awareness of another possibility, just to sit with it. Don't do anything. Don't change anything. Don't judge anything. Don't try to fix anything. Don't try to figure anything out. You just sit with it for a second and allow it to percolate. This idea that there could be another possibility, things start to shift. This is not about adding more to your plate. This is actually about taking things off of your plate. And ask myself, what do I really want? What do I believe about what it is I want? Right? Like, it's what I want. Why do I want it? How do I want it to feel? How do I want it to look? What is the underlying thing behind it? And then it's, what do I believe about what's stopping me from getting there? Right? So if I want to, have this baby in a couple months and then go back to my baby weight, pre-baby weight or whatever in 4 weeks, what are my beliefs around that? It's just asking yourself those questions, right? It's just sitting and saying, what do I want and what's stopping me? But here's the trick. Here's the key, right? Here's the secret sauce. Without judgment. Without the shame, because now we're attaching energy to the thing that we're fighting against something when we attach shame and guilt to it. And it really keeps us down and hidden and small and fearful and sick, right? If we can just release guilt and shame, if we can just start to get honest with ourselves, and then in something like an accountability group, and simplify. It doesn't, and that's a story, right? It's a story that things have to be complicated for me to have a massive shift or change. Things have to be difficult or expensive or hard or whatever it is that I can't obtain because of these reasons. And so if I tell you to simply go and breathe and drink some water and just sit in the idea that there could be a possible different outcome, I can almost guarantee you that most people who are listening to this say, no, that's not possible. That won't work. I can't do that. That's not real. That's not doing it. And I'm not saying it with judgment, but I'm saying it's because I did that.
I did that. And then you finally convinced me, gosh, it was quite some time ago, to just start writing. Like, I'm so grateful. I live in a life of gratitude. I knew that. But you're like, no, you got to write them down. You got to write them down. And you got to write down 10. That was a challenge we did with you for 7 days. We all wrote down we didn't have to share them. We just had to write them. And man, I was that one. Nope, it won't work. Nope, I'm already as good as I can be. But it was freaking magic. It shifted the way I looked at things, and I've been doing it since. You did that for me. That was a beautiful gift that you did, that journaling your gratitudes every morning. And now what I do is I also set intentions for my day, and that's how I do with my accountability group too. They have to write down 3 things they're going to do in one day that will take them to their longer goal. That way they're breaking it up a little bit, and then the next day they have to say what they've gotten done to raise the vibration, write their gratitudes, and then take those little steps.
And I think that I don't mean to cut you. I think that your accountability groups are so successful because you ask people to be honest.
Yes.
You hold a space without judgment.
Sacred space, correct.
You simplify. Pick 3 things for, work on one project, pick 3 steps and do them.
Yeah.
And understand, because if you do that, right, you know why you're doing it. Well, I'm going to do these 3 things today. Why? Because I'm focusing on this one project. Why? Because I have this goal, right? And so there's an alignment there. And so what I'm talking about is that same type of like strategic process alignment that you would do for one project, for one goal in your business, but for every area of your life, it's the same process. What do I want? What is my goal? Why? Like, for example, what do I really want? How do I really want to feel? What do I really want to change? Really, a goal is just, here I am, and I want something different. I want something to shift. I want something to look different or feel different. That's really what it is, right? And then it's, okay, what's stopping me? What is all the noise between where I'm at and where I want to be? And is it real, right? Going back to little like Byron Katie, right? Is it real? Probably not. It's a story. And if it's the story, what could be the new story? Because there's no rule that just because this story is the one you've known your whole life means it has to be the story you keep knowing.
Right.
You get to rewrite whatever it is you want different and step into that.
So good.
One website, right? Or if you want some new digital marketing platforms, right? It's a very strategic approach in releasing and simplifying.
And it seems to be like, I love the way that you make me excited about this, right? And it is kind of a buzz in the world right now too, right? Everybody's Marie Kondoing all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Right? And many people are journaling, and many people are having different kinds of support groups. And it's an energy shift, I think, in the world for the better. And in particular for women, I would have to say, because that's kind of the world that I live in.
Yeah.
And when you are like, oh, it doesn't have to be that way, what you're saying, like, we think it has to be that way. But honestly too, there are people that have a lot of stuff on their plate, right? They actually do have things. They've got so many kids, they've got 2 jobs, they've got, relationship issues. There are those things. But I think, to your point, if you pick the one thing and then break it down smaller to see what the steps are to getting to that, and celebrating with gratitude each of the wins.
I would love to give a specific example to that.
Oh,
and I would like to also tag on, and in addition to the gratitudes and the wins, which you guys know I'm a huge, write down your gratitudes in the morning and why. Write down your wins.
Thank you.
Right in the morning too. I like to do like a free flow. It's a great mindset exercise. I'm just writing exactly what you're thinking and feeling without judgment, no matter how positive or negative, like how good or bad whoever decided what good or bad meant, right? Just let it out without judgment. It shifts things. It's crazy. But the example is myself, right? Because a lot of people don't know me on here, which seems crazy to me. But just,
everybody knows Kari.
Right? Well, that way, but yeah, you should. Yeah. I'm a single mom of 2 children that are small. I'm pregnant. I have this business. I advise for nonprofits and different companies. I was working on a serious fitness goal to be in a competition before I found out I was pregnant, right? So I would say I have a couple things on my plate.
Yes, you do.
I would say that, and I can tell you that there are days where it is very easy to want to hide and to feel overwhelmed and feel stressed out and feel that I'm pulled in a million different directions, whether it's for my kids or the kids' school or being pregnant, minor detail, being
Oh, by the way.
or all the doctor's appointments or all the business stuff or all the people that I want to serve or the people I'm currently working with and serving or, wanting to be social and still like a human being and an individual, right? Like it is easy to feel pulled in all these directions and stressed and overwhelmed and just want to shut it down. And it's easy to do that because the story is, if you have all these things on your plate, you must be depleted. That was the story, right? That was the story I had. When I found out I was pregnant, and I did kind of go into hiding for a little bit, and because I had attached so much shame to, here we go again, really? You're a single mom and you're pregnant and like, what are you doing? Right? And so I had attached shame to it because the story was I wasn't good enough, right? I couldn't show up. My gifts didn't matter. My gifts weren't really real because I was full of all this shame around my lifestyle at the moment or, my financial situation at the moment or whatever it was. But the truth is, that story wasn't really working for me because it wasn't creating what I wanted. I found myself being stressed. I found myself being overwhelmed. I found myself being very sick, which I get hyper on my sister during pregnancy anyway. So I get sick during pregnancy all the time. But I created a news story, right? Because then I would feel this pull between my work and my kids, which again is a very real woman mom experience, right? Where it's like, oh, if I'm working, I want to be with my kids. But if I'm with my kids, I'm really annoyed because I love my work. And, I feel like I should be with my kids more, or I feel like I should be working on my business more. Or I can't. Like, who decided I can't? Well, I decided I can't because I said it. Right. And instead I was like, what if my mornings, I prioritized me. I did my morning routine no matter what the kids were doing or not doing, if they were awake, if they were asleep, if they were fighting and screaming like cats and dogs, or if they were playing nicely together, if they were getting dressed they were supposed to, or hiding in their tent. I was going to commit to myself for 10 minutes if I had to do my morning routine, right? Of the gratitudes and of some of the meditating and of, some of the writing. And I can tell you what shifted. When I decided that it was better for me and therefore better for my children that I be healthy and sane by doing a little bit of my mindset routine in the morning, no matter what, everything changed. They started to be aware of my morning routine and we would talk about it. And sometimes they would join in. And sometimes they would go fight somewhere else. 3 and 6, right? But I felt calm and grounded. And then I enjoyed the rest of my morning with them.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so good. So good.
Because I felt like I had to feel stressed in the morning. My story was, if you have to get the kids out the door to school on time, and then you've got to get everything ready for work, and you got to do your mindset stuff, and and you're going to feel sick because you're pregnant. I thought that that's what it had to be. I believed that was reality because that was what was expected. And I said, well, what if I created a new story? What if I created a new story that spending time on me was good? And what if I created a new story that no matter how the kids were behaving, that the morning was going to go smoothly?
I love this. Oh, I love this. Kari, I want to be mindful of your time, but I'm so grateful that you're here. I would want to let people know how they can find you. How can people come closer to you? How do they find you? What do you do with people?
Yes. So what I do with people is, I do work with people one-on-one, and I do advise people, and I'm actually going to be having a new program coming out soon. However, for today,
yes,
2 things. One, I have a free clarity training that kind of takes all of these things and dives a little bit deeper and gives some more specific to-dos, right? Action items, because that's where we all feel comfortable. And so I have a free training that people can sign up for at clarity.kariyasi.com. And of course, they can always find me on social media, which is my name, Kari Yasi. I'm pretty much everywhere, in theory. Show up. But, and just reaching out to me directly. You know, I love to receive messages. I love to have these conversations with people around what does clarity look like. You know, I typically find I work with people one-on-one because even though the process is the same, everyone's experience is a little bit different in our stories and where we're at in them. And so whether it's a VIP intensive or if it's a longer term program, that seems to work better. But I do want to end with one thing that I think is really, really, really important, you know, because when you talked about what is something I can do right now, I'm in this, it feels good, but now what?
Yes.
Right? And I talk about this a lot in the training that I would really recommend. I mean, I made it free. It's not going to always be free. It's free now and it's free for your audience, but it's not going to always be free because it's very valuable.
Yes.
If there's one thing, if you walk away from this talk today and you don't remember anything I've said except for this, you're still winning.
Yes.
Which is just notice what's different. It's some of the best wisdom and advice one of my coaches gave me, was if you just start to notice what's different, you're winning. So if you get off this call and you start to beat yourself up about something, but you notice you're beating yourself up about something, even if you don't change it, that you notice it and acknowledge that you notice what's different. Oh, I noticed that. Oh, my ankle doesn't hurt as bad. Oh, I was able to drink more water today. Oh, I realized I was judging myself. Oh, I realized I had shame attached to it. Anytime you notice what's different, you're moving in a new direction. You're creating a new story. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm writing it down.
Because everything is tied to everything. So when you shift one thing, you shift everything. So when you start to notice the differences, you start to move in a different direction.
That is perfect. I'm not going to add anything to that. I'm going to thank you so much for coming this morning, and I'll post this. I'm sorry about the Facebook Live thing, but technology, we'll figure it out. I'm glad that we got to spend time together, and I'm looking forward to spending more time with you. So again, Kari, you could clarity.com, kariyasi.com. Clarity, no, I said that wrong. I'm going to say it again. Kariyasi.com.
Yes.
And that's a free offer just for this group for right now. It's not going to be free forever. And
right.
You guys, I know working with Kari is so valuable, so worth it. And yeah, I'm joining this group for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Well, I always enjoy seeing you, and you know I could talk about this stuff all day, every day. So it's always such a pleasure to be able to share with you and connect. And I'm really excited to hear from people on what they got from this and what's shifting. So.
Yeah, make sure. So you can hit Kari up on her social media or on her website. You'll find her email address or the form, and let her know what you thought, what questions you have. We'll put it in the Facebook, in the Rise Above the Noise Facebook group too, so she'll hop on there and answer your questions.
Absolutely, I will.
All right. I'm going to shut the recording off. Goodbye, Kari.
Bye. Have a good day, guys.